Hey everyone, today we have a GX160. It's been on 2 or 3 videos now, and I went to go test it out, and it does run. It just doesn't run very well. And I went to test it one more time after it was getting cold. I like to leave it running or let it sit for at least a day or two before I call the person and let them know it's ready. And when I did that, I pulled the handle and it kicked back. In fact, it hit my hand so hard it actually broke the skin without it being sharp. So it hit pretty hard. Doesn't feel good even today, but I replaced the handle because it also broke the handle in my hand. So we have potentially 2 problems. So this is going to be a video about when your handle kicks back at you. There's 3 scenarios I'm going to go over. One of which is the problem with this particular engine, which I've technically already fixed, but I want to go over the other 2 as well as the actual reason. I'm going to pull the lazy card on this one. I'm not going to pull off the cover, but behind here is a flywheel. Everyone knows that. That's not going to be a big wow to anyone. Now, on the flywheel connects to the crank shaft, and on the crankshaft there is a keyway ground in there, and a little tiny key fits in there, which then fits into the flywheel. The flywheel is specifically made with a magnet on it to stay in time with that key. So if for any reason, this is on a pump, so maybe for instance something got stuck in the impeller, and to protect the engine, the key is going to be something that's going to shear first, turn off the engine, and call it like just needs to be repaired, fix the blockage. The engine should be fine. In order to do that, you do have to take off the recoil, and then you should take off the cup. You should be able to see the key, if it's sheared or not. Just find the keyway, and then look and see if the corresponding keyway in the flywheel is corresponding. If it's not lined up at all, it's broken, take off the flywheel. You have to have videos on that. Put a new key in there. The other option is if you had a spark problem a while back and you fixed it or you tried to fix it with putting a new coil on. If for any reason you were to accidentally put the coil on backwards, it could be firing at a wrong time and causing it to kick back as well. That's a pretty rare one. That would only happen if you did replace the coil. So if you're having this problem directly after replacing a coil, then you're gonna have it's a simple fix. Take it back off, flip it over, and you try it again. It should be taken care of. The third common cause is going to be the valves. This is an overhead valve engine. As it says right there, overhead valve. So you're going to take off the valve cover, and your specific engine is going to have different valve clearance. Whatever it is, look it up. It's not that hard. Type it on Google or whatever you use, and it should come up with relative fast, ease, and easy. Now, those clearances you're going to need to check on both sides. More likely than not, for this problem, you're going to have an excess. So this valve is compressed. It is currently in the intake stroke. The exhaust should move a little bit. It's not going to be stiff like this one. That's normal. That's normal. What isn't normal is if it's moving excessively up and down. That's bad, because let me show you something, the reason why this happens. This is the intake, this is the exhaust. Like I said, we're currently on the intake stroke. So if I pull the handle, you'll see the valve move and come back up. Now watch the other one real fast. See how it went down just a little bit and then it started going again? Let's try this again. That little bump is part of the compression release. It's on the cam. There's a little piece on there that will cause the engine under low RPM, like such as when you're turning it on, to cause it to release a little bit of compression just to make it easier for you to turn it on. Now, when I did this, if it was a flywheel problem, it will either pop through, it might backfire, it might pop through the carb. Usually That's a cause. Not all the time, but usually you'll see something like that. Big puff of smoke, and then it'll kick off. You'll see the attempt for a normal operation. This one, however, didn't. It didn't pop, it didn't do anything. It just had a whole lot. And when I went to pull on it, it just felt like there's a lot of compression, which is generally good. However, when you're trying to start it, that sudden amount of high compression can easily pull it out of your hand and cause it to do what happened to me. Now, why does this happen? This on this engine should be about 6 to 8 thousandths, I believe. I set it to 6. When I had it, my feeler gauge only goes up to 35 thousandths, and it was not even half of that. It could have easily been about 70 thousandths of an inch. The reason why that's a problem is that if it's so large where even the slow or the very minimal amount of travel that the compression reliefs will do on that valve to relieve it is in the gap, then it's never going to release it at all. And that's what it was doing. It had no compression release whatsoever. So when that happens, you're going to have a kickback. Now, the valve is the best case scenario. The worst case scenario is your cam. The actual mechanism is broken. So if you check this and you don't see that little bump at all and the valve clearance is just perfect, then your cam is toast. So let's go ahead. I'm going to put this back on, and hopefully we won't have another kickback problem. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see what we have here. Sorry, it's still on. Choke is on. Fuel is on. It should be good to go. It's a new carb, so it should start no matter what. In fact, what I want to do though is I want to have a little bit more of a better angle for the engine to turn it off. It's on low. Just want to pull on it to see if I can feel a difference real quick here. Okay, getting over the PTSD of this. Let's try it. And there you have it. It runs, like I said, I just put a new carb on there, so I had to adjust a little bit. It was running really, really low. And this hasn't ran for almost 2 years, so there's that. But other than that, it didn't kick back. I no longer have any PTSD on this. We are good to go. That's a joke, by the way. You shouldn't do that. You should never be afraid of this. We've adjusted it. It should be fine. It should be like starting any other engine after this. We looked at everything. It should be good to go. So I want to say like 80% of the time it's the valves. This can happen to any 4-cycle engine. It doesn't matter if it's flathead, overhead valve, doesn't matter. If the valves are out of time or out of clearance, then this can be a problem for any of them. So don't necessarily condemn the engine. Don't think it's a flywheel. If you look at the key and it's not, and you think it's just a trash engine, no, it's not. Look at this. Even a broken cam is repairable depending on how much money and work you want to put into it. I can get into that one. That's something specific to a different engine. Whatever engine you have, look at what cam you need to buy. But other than that, hopefully this helped. If you have a kickback problem and this helped you, please leave a thumbs up. And I will catch you in the next video. Definitely keep watching and follow me on Instagram. I just created one, so I'd be love to see if you would like to follow me on that as well. Have a good day.